Welcome to So I Married a Film Critic, a discussion between a professional film critic and lecturer and me, his wife, who just likes to watch movies for fun. I'm your co-host, Julia.
This is Barry the Film Critic. Hello, everyone.
And tonight we're going to talk about The Fugitive from 1993.
I came home, there was a man in my house. He had an artificial arm.
Are you saying that I killed my wife? Are you saying that I crushed her skull and that I shot her?
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. We have a fugitive that's been on the run for 90 minutes. Average foot speed over uneven ground barring injury is 4 miles an hour. That will give you a radius of 6 miles. What I want out of each and every one of you is a hard target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, hen house, outhouse, or dog house in this area. Checkpoints will go up at 15 miles. Your fugitive's name is Dr. Richard Kimball. Go get him.
Yes, based on the long-running TV show, which I never watched. It was before my time. This is one of those deals where... This was before you saw a lot of classic TV shows being made into movies. As a kid, like, for example, they made a movie out of Dragnet, and it was a comedy. And, of course, Star Trek, the motion picture. But this was something different because I'd never even heard of this show prior to this film. And then the movie came out, and I started to see a lot of old episodes. But this film is special. It's a summer movie, and it came out the same summer as Jurassic Park, and it was number 2. It did that well, and it's the only time prior to Home Alone, it was the only time I've ever seen a movie. It opened up on number 1, and the second week it didn't drop; it went up. And I mean, this thing was just a monster. It was such a huge hit. People loved it. It was up for Best Picture, which is amazing to me. Because that just never happens where a film that like audiences love, people would, unanimously say that was my favorite movie of the year. It was actually up for Best Picture, and deservedly so. I'm a fan of this one.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this one. Wow, I did not see it when it came out. I was only 13. I did go see Jurassic Park in the theater, though. Scared me so bad. But I don't even remember when I saw The Fugitive. So
really, yeah, I saw it opening weekend with my mom. One of the many films I saw with my mom, and I could recall some of the conversations we had while we watched the film, and we'll discuss that because there are times when my mom and her really sweet. My mother is one of the sweetest, most innocent women, and at times the movie gets really dark, and my mom would try to shield me from that. So we'll get to that.
Okay, well, let's get into it. We're not going to go scene by scene, but definitely talk about like the major highlights. So
I want to do scene by scene.
Okay, well.
So, like in blue letters, Harrison Ford, dun, 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 dun. Tommy Lee Jones, dun, 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 dun.
No, nobody wants to hear that.
The Fugitive. It's so cool. It looks just like it does in the trailer. It's so cool the way the opening credits. And these credits are long. Like, it's a long opening scene.
Well, and it's also his wife being murdered.
It's horrifying. And it's Celia Ward. Like, man, Celia Ward is so gorgeous and so talented. It's like, it's so devastating seeing this happen. But I gotta say, one of the things I love about the opening is, I mean, are you 100% sure that Richard Kimball is innocent? Because it doesn't look that way in the opening scenes. We don't see it's the one-armed man until...
Yeah, way later.
Yeah, it's later. Yeah, because the opening scenes, like, you're not getting a clear shot of it. Just that his poor wife is being pummeled. And it's in black and white, and we're not sure who the assailant is. Yeah. I mean, it's horrifying.
It's kind of like the opening of Shawshank. where there's a murder and then we don't know. We don't know what really happened till later.
Do you think the Shawshank Redemption is like the early 20th century version of this movie?
No.
It's like the slower version of The Fugitive.
The slower version. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we open up with that horrifying picture, but Dr. Richard Kimball, he's a Chicago vascular surgeon, and he returns home to discover his wife Helen has been fatally wounded and killed. Yeah. So despite his efforts,
well, there's a shot where, I mean, what is it? What is he takes something, it looks like a cue ball and fatally punctures her head. It really, for a movie that it's PG-13 and it's very tastefully done, relatively so, but it always bothers me.
I think it's like something that's just like the decorative, like a decorative tchotchke for rich people.
We found this in a 7-Eleven. We just had to have it. 7-Eleven. It's so kitschy. We just love it.
No, they probably had someone, because their apartment is super
like a
nice.
little glass ball with like a little penguin smiling in it.
Yeah, they probably paid someone to like design their apartment, and like a decorator. A decorator probably was like, "This is what you need. Look at this, so chic." Man. And then it ended up being the death of her. Yes, I know.
Dark.
Be careful when you have, a decorator come to your house. Careful what they put on your, night table.
Can we have something that can't be used as a weapon in a homicide, please?
Exactly. Okay, so this beginning, it's a little muddled in my mind, but because there's like flashbacks. And
it's a party. It's the party of before him, but I mean, this movie takes off sprinting.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, this movie's just like, no, like this is what it is. We don't need a lot of backstory. We'll learn who these characters are while they're literally on the run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Dr. Richard Kimball, like they're at this party and then they're coming home and then he gets called to go back and do like an emergency surgery. And she's like, "I'll wait up for you." So he goes and does surgery. He comes home, finds her dead. And then I think one of the most devastating scenes is when the cops are interviewing him.
Yeah, I love this. Because Harrison Ford was not up for Best Actor for this at the Oscars. And like, why the heck not? He's devastating. This scene is so good. Just like... he's breaking down. It's so real and tender. Like there's no, this is the guy who played Han Solo in Indiana Jones, and Ford is just playing this very real. We're seeing a guy who's like very intelligent and has so much in his life, but he has nothing in this moment, and he's just crumbling. And I gotta say, like a detail that's always impressed me is how well he's able to describe what happened, considering how traumatic it is. Because I'm watching it with you, and I'm thinking, if this was me. And, the cops are like, "Mr. Worst, what happened?" Like, she was murdered right in front of me. And the guy, he had one arm. Was it the right arm or the left arm? Well.
Yeah, Dr. Richard Kimball knows exactly
there was
which
a
arm.
mirror. So wait, righty.
Righty-tighty.
You know what, officer? I'm guilty. Okay, I did it. I'm just going to sign the confession. I don't know what arm it was. And Kimball's like, he had a mechanical arm. It was like his left arm. Like, man, this guy.
Yeah.
He's keeping it together. But I mean, he performs surgery.
That's
so like,
true.
He's got nerves of steel.
He's way like higher up on the intelligence scale than we are. So
Yeah.
he of course has like a photographic memory, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, this opening, it's so like it feels plausible. The questions they're asking him are not unreasonable, and it looks like he did it. So of course it's like, man, this is Kafka. This is like just a worst case scenario. It's horrifying. But again, it's like, did he do it? I don't know. And by the way, I had to wonder watching it. It's like, if he did it, would I still be rooting for him? Yes, because it's Harrison Ford. I would still be rooting for him.
You always do that. You root for people even when they shouldn't be rooted for.
Well, it's a movie. I mean, it's not like I was watching the OJ trial. Like, I'm still going for you, Juice. You're a Heisman Trophy winner. Don't let me down, Juice.
Okay, so he has to go to trial.
Yes.
And this is where we hear the 911 call.
Oh man, this scene hurts.
Of
Yes.
his wife. And then you realize like she can barely dial, first of all. And then
These are her dying moments.
Yeah, and then she sees him because they're like, who's is the attacker still in your house? And she says Richard. And I mean, we find out later that it's because she saw him, and he came home right at that moment. But yeah, it's pretty devastating. So
yeah, because the way it looks, it's almost like, so who's in the house? Who's murdering you, ma'am? Richard?
yeah, yeah, like, oh no.
Yeah, no, I think at this moment we're cued in, like, okay, like clearly it's a terrible coincidence, but man, like Celia Ward, good dyer. She dies really well in this
But
film.
like, you know what? How rude of her to like say his name on a 911 call.
She loves her husband. She's
I know.
reaching out for him.
I know. But like she wasn't thinking like this call is going to be used in my like murder investigation.
In my case, I would probably say my dog's name, and they'd be like, Charlotte?
Like, I knew that bitch would do that to him.
Man, we saw that coming. We got so much evidence. This was premeditated for like 12 years.
Yeah, exactly. She's had it in for us for a long time.
Oh yeah, man. It's only a matter of time.
Okay, so he's sentenced to the death penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. So
Well, it's lethal injection, right? Isn't that what the judge says?
I guess so.
I think it's lethal injection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's on a prison.
It's not like there's no doubt. It's like you will be executed in the most painful, inhumane way possible. Case dismissed.
You think lethal injection is the most painful, inhumane way? No way.
You crap your pants.
No, I think like electric chair. That's the most inhumane way.
That's cool.
What?
You get an injection and you crap your pants.
No,
That's
like,
embarrassing.
You get an injection and you like fall asleep. Like
you crap your
you're
pants.
in the electric chair and it's like
And you soil
the
yourself.
Green Mile like nonsense. Where your like body explodes. That's way worse.
Green Mile nonsense. Hi, can I choose the Green Mile nonsense, please? I don't really care for needles.
Okay, so Harrison Ford is on the prison transfer, and it's like this buzz with all these real killers.
Yeah.
And like these dudes have like planned an escape, and he has no idea what's going on. Like one of the prisoners takes like pills that makes him foam at the mouth, and he's like, he's dying. Like, I mean, okay, do you think you'd fall for this if you were like a prison guard?
Well, remember who one of the prison guards is? It's Mr. Jump to Conclusions guy, the Jump to Conclusions Matt guy from Office Space, with this big, walrus mustache. I love this character actor, by the way.
Yeah, but
But I wonder if it's Tony. We're totally pulling the foaming thing on Tony when he's watching this tonight.
Yeah, Tony's an idiot.
Tony's so dumb. He's totally gonna fall for this.
Okay, but do you think you'd fall for it? I think if it was me, I'd be like, okay, I've seen so many movies. I know they're trying to pull one over on me, but what if it's real and I don't do anything? I'm going to be back there with them in handcuffs.
But do people in movies see a lot of movies?
Yeah. You don't think like prisoners are watching movies?
For example, I don't think Sam Gerard has seen that many movies. I mean, that's why but we'll get to him. But no, I honestly,
You don't think people in movies watch movies?
Not as much as we do.
Oh, well.
I'm sure the prison guard, I mean, for one thing, this is 93, so Green Mile and Shawshank hasn't even come out yet.
You know that those prison guards are sitting like the midnight to like 6 a.m. shift.
And you know what they're watching? Sally Jesse Raphael.
Watching movies.
They're watching Madame Cleo, Sally Jesse Raphael, Morton Downey Jr. They're watching crap. They're not like they probably don't have a video cassette player in their job. They're just like ooh, time for some VH1.
I think you're wrong. I think they're watching lots of things. Okay. So they go back there to try and like save this fake death guy, and shots are fired. There's a big crash, and what do you know?
Big spectacular bus crash. The bus crashes on a train track.
Yeah, and then the train comes. Yeah. It's just like could not get any worse.
Oh man, the moment where Harrison Ford is like stuck in the window is like, I'm like, oh man, that's how I'm gonna die one day. The most embarrassing
Stuck in the window?
Yeah, when he's trying to get out of the window of he's like, he can't quite do it. And the train's coming like, doggone it. I've always had fears of like dying in a stupid way like that. But no, at the last possible second, he gets out of there and he jumps off right as the train just explodes behind him. It's a
the
great
hero
shot.
jump.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
And he even looks dignified doing that stupid little walk, because he's got his legs shackled together. He does like this penguin walk. He looks but he doesn't look silly because it's Harrison Ford.
But he finds another prisoner, a guy named Copeland, and he somehow has the keys and like lets him go, like gets his shackles off.
Kind of amazing he was able to hold on to the keys despite the fact that they just survived a train crash.
Seriously.
Yeah, a train and a bus crash.
He's kind of like, I don't care which way you go, just don't follow me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can respect that. Like all these guys, they got to go their own way. Try to make it.
Yeah.
Can't be following another guy.
This is not a buddy movie.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so now this is where the U.S. Marshals come in. And you know what? I just had to look up, like, what is a U.S. Marshal? Basically, federal cops. So now that, like, because all these prisoners are, like, going to federal penitentiaries and being, like, given the death penalty. So now they're bringing in the U.S. Marshals to, like, take care of business.
I'm glad you looked it up because if you had asked me, I would have said, you mean like Lieutenant Sam Gerard in The Fugitive? That's like...
It's the only U.S. Marshal I know.
U.S. Marshal I have a reference for. But I'm kind of glad I don't know the difference between a police officer and a U.S. Marshal.
Yeah.
I've never had to, deal with.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Tommy Lee Jones and his team coming in to save the day because, like, the local police are just in over their head and they need help. And so he's got, like, a pretty good team of guys and one gal.
They're kind of like a bunch of college dorm buddies. They've been through a lot, but you get a sense like they probably party pretty hard.
That's the sense you got?
That's what I got. Like, these guys are homies. They had like that weekend in Puerto Vallarta. Yeah, these guys are like, they're all about the law, but clearly they know how to get down.
Yeah, they're like, oh man, we got another case.
They're making jokes about the big dog. Like, yeah, these guys, they got nicknames for each other because of all the lascivious, crazy stuff they did in the weekend. Yeah.
Okay, here's the craziest part. So I didn't know how old Tommy Lee Jones was in this film, and he's like in his mid-40s.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones looks like he's in his 50s or 60s, like in every movie I've ever seen him in. I don't know. He just always looks like old to me. But like Harrison Ford is older than him.
I wouldn't have imagined that.
Yeah.
I would have thought it'd be reversed.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Tommy Lee Jones is the man. No, I mean, he was, a respected actor. He had done a lot of stuff, but, never quite an above the name, above the title kind of guy. JFK changed that. He was an Oscar nominee for JFK in 91. And this was, this film not only was his name above the title, but of course he won the Academy Award for this film, which is amazing. And we'll talk about that because the scene, his most famous scene in the movie, I don't think is very impressive. He has a scene later in the film. I'm like, yes, here's why he won the Academy Award. It's not for his most iconic line in the movie, which is pretty hilarious because when the Oscars were, I remember it very well because it was like, you know how it is. It used to be, I don't know if the Oscars still does this, but like they'll show the actor sitting in their chair and it was like Ralph Fiennes, Schindler's List. And they show a scene of, Ralph Fiennes like beating up Jews in Schindler's List. And then they cut back to Ralph Fiennes, applause. And it was like John Malkovich in The Line of Fire. And they show John Malkovich like putting the gun in his mouth, that horrifying scene. They cut back to him. And it's like Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive. I don't care. And that's it. And it's like, oh, jeez, what a terrible clip. And then he wins the Oscar. It's like, oh, God, for that scene? No, but it's like, that's so embarrassing because like that doesn't, it's an iconic line, yes, but it doesn't define who this guy is. No, there's a scene later where he says, I don't bargain. That scene is killer. And that's who this guy is. And that's why Jones deserved to win the Oscar, not for the line in the trailer that everybody quotes, but it's there's a lot more to this character.
I thought you were gonna say they showed like Yeah, I want you to search every doghouse, outhouse, you know, that whole thing.
I love that line. I mean, it's a classic line. Although I wonder if it was much longer. I wonder if they're like, okay, we're gonna cut Roadhouse and Whorehouse, Barbie's Dream House. It's just too much of this. This is okay. This is a little less over the top now, Tommy. Here you go. Here you go.
I want to see Dr. Richard Kimball being like, Barbie's Dream House? This is where I'm hiding. They'll never look here.
I want a montage of them, like, you know, like, excuse me, do you have a dog back there? Get out of the house! Get out of the house! Search it!
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you said to check every doghouse. That's what I've been doing.
These guys are like, the thing is about Gerard and the way Jones is playing him, I never think he's kidding about anything, because at times he's like, okay, Cosmo, I want you to find his dental records. I want you to find the name of the girl that he took to the prom. I want you to go and find everything I want yearbooks. I want everything you can find on this guy. And it's like, I don't think he's kidding.
No.
Which is why it must be hell working for this dude.
That's why he has like 6 people on his team.
Is there a scene where like Cosmo's like, hello, Mrs. Finkelstein? Yes. Were you Richard Kimball's 4th grade teacher? Oh, yes. Come inside. Would you like a Werther's original? Oh, thank you, ma'am. I'd love one. Do you remember Richard Kimball as a 4th grade student? Oh, he was delightful. Although there was something. What is it, Mrs. Finkelstein? Well, sometimes he would run away in the playground. You could say he was kind of like a fugitive. Oh, this is fascinating. Anything else you could tell us? You know, there's something else. He did a school play once where he played a young man who killed his wife. Oh, Mrs. Finkelstein, this is amazing. Thank you so much. Do you happen to have any drawings, any pictures? I have them right here. I always knew one day that little Ricky Kimball would get into some kind of trouble. Oh my gosh. I told you we didn't need to go over them, Cosmo. I told you we got to ask everybody. In-house, outhouse, doghouse, librarians, everybody. Oh my gosh. Like he keeps saying
the movie
this.
is like 4 hours long.
I'll bet this movie the original cut was long because there's so many scenes. Mm-hmm. There's a scene where Richard Kimball is on the roof of a house and there's like satellite dishes everywhere. It has nothing to do with anything. And I'm like, I wonder, like, was this a part of a longer scene? And one of the things I love about that is, you know, this is based on a series. Watching this movie feels like binge watching a great series, don't you think? Like, I feel like I'm watching.
I don't know. I didn't even know this was a series.
Okay, but I mean, to me, it feels like you know, if I don't want to do this, obviously, but like if you could whittle Breaking Bad down to 2.5 hours, like this is like a really amazing long form storytelling that's like whittled down to like an hour and change. It moves really fast, but there's so much stuff that happens. Yeah. So anyway, so the good doctor is on the run.
Yeah, he's on the run and he makes his way to a hospital. He's got a wound on his side, you know, and it's like, well, of course, he's a doctor. So he finds antibiotics. He gives himself a shot. He sews himself up.
And then a detail that horrifies me. He stole the breakfast of one of his patients. He makes an egg salad sandwich right there.
Okay, that guy had a neck brace on. That guy wasn't eating anything.
I want to know, I'm sure there's another hour of his story. Stop bringing me extra food. I just want my egg and my toast, and they keep bringing me oh, someone's hungry today. No, I'm not. My food just keeps disappearing. Richard comes back every morning. He steals his breakfast. Becomes part of his MO.
Oh, so he steals an ambulance, which.
Not the smartest idea.
I mean, yeah. If I was trying to be
undercover,
I would not be stealing an ambulance. But there's an ambulance chase.
What would you steal?
What would I steal?
Yeah.
I'd get on a bus. Just get on some public transportation. Hide amongst the people.
But then they spot you. You're stuck.
Oh, then you pull the little wire and then you're just like, oh, this is my stuff.
You've really thought this through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Hopefully I would never be on the run for your murder. So.
I think you heard it here. This has become one of those murder podcasts now. I can see you on a little pink scooter, they'll never find me.
Trying to go up the volcano.
Going 25 miles an hour. They'll never catch me.
Okay, so he ends up like it's a full-on chase with like cop cars and helicopters, and he goes into a tunnel.
Yeah.
And they're like, haha, we trapped him. And he ends up escaping through like, a drain pipe. And for a while, they're just like, dude, where did he go? How did he disappear? Of course, no match for, Gerard. He's gonna find him. So then there's that aqueduct chase scene, which is pretty cool, where they're like running through the tunnels.
Yeah.
And this is where they come to the end of one, and Richard's like, I didn't kill my wife. And he's like, I don't care.
And the Oscar goes to Tommy Lee Jones for The Fugitive.
But I always thought, like, ugh, that is such a rude thing to say.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, screw you. I don't want to hear your story. I'm here to arrest you. No, I get it. They've been following this guy all day.
I know.
He apparently bludgeoned his wife to death. And he's leading them on this goose chase. I mean, it probably smells like urine and who knows what else down there.
No, that's like clean water. That's like going into like someone's drinking water.
Oh, actually, it sounds kind of nice. Never mind.
Okay, because then Richard jumps off.
It smells like Perrier down here.
Would you jump, or would you just like let yourself get
definitely
arrested?
jump. No, I'm not letting myself get arrested.
You
no,
jump off that thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to go with a smile.
So, I mean,
By the way, I don't know how they did this. I watching it with you, I'm like, is it a dummy? Is it a stunt? I don't know. I don't know that I even want to know. But
because it's not digital, right?
no, I mean, this is this is a point where they had digital effects. They were used for dinosaurs. It wasn't for like this. This is amazing. I don't know how they did it, but it always takes my breath away seeing this. But yes, I absolutely would have jumped. There's no other. Oh, okay, you win. You don't care. So I guess I'm gonna give up now.
I'm gonna get the shot now. Okay, so while the cops are dragging the river, Richard's escaping and he's like hiding, in the trees, and he ends up sleeping under a pile of leaves. I mean, he's very smart, because they got dogs out there looking for him. I mean,
and it's a great moment too, because for a movie that's just constantly in forward momentum, there's that moment he wakes up because he's dreaming of his wife, of course, and so it's a way to have another flashback, but. He wakes up and is like, he's completely alone in the world. Nobody knows where he is.
And he has like no money, nothing. Food.
It's like, this might be the most alone he's ever felt in his life. And that's always like, oh man, like it sucks to be this guy at this moment.
Hey, at least he wasn't like, I have a credit card.
Yeah, no kidding. Not only that, by the way, Harrison Ford has almost no dialogue in this movie. You notice that? Like, he's got nothing. I mean, the confession scene in the beginning, that's it. If there were reams of dialogue originally in the screenplay, I mean, they pulled it, and I think it's very effective.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have no dialogue.
It's not a lot.
Not a lot.
It's really not a lot.
Yeah. So, all right, he ends up in he must have some cash on him because he gets some hair dye. He dyes his hair. He's just walking along like the side of the road, and just some like random woman is like, "You need a ride?" Like, is that? Do you think
that's a whole other movie right there.
Like that realistic?
It's like American Gigolo right there. Does he cut his hair that good, or do you think he I'm gonna go to the Supercuts? What do you think?
No, I don't even think he cuts his hair. I think he just dyes it and shaves the beard.
I mean, it's a really good haircut. He looks great. If I was on the run, that is the hair I want. I mean, it's stylish.
You don't want that hair just like right now?
No, I want to look stylish if I'm on the run from U.S. Marshals. Yeah, no, like it always bothers me too. It's like, do dye jobs turn out that well? I've never dyed my hair black, but like it looks really cool.
I don't know. I mean,
the black, the green jacket. Anyway, I know when I'm on the run from the law, I know what I'm.
The only time I've like actually dyed my hair, it has always turned out like strawberry blonde, like not the color that I've wanted it to be. So
that was the experience I had. The one time my hair was dyed, I was in a high school production of The Sound of Music, and I was playing Ralph, who's the Nazi love interest, weird to say. And one of the nuns said, like, because, I needed to be blonde-haired, blue-eyed Nazi boy. So one of the nuns who was in the cast, not a real nun, she's like, I'll dye your hair. I know how to do it. She'd never dyed her hair before. So I looked like Conan O'Brien. It was orange. Yeah. It was that way all summer long. So it was like the most jovial looking Nazi you ever saw. Anyway,
All right. Well, on that note, so now we see just some scenes where Copeland gets caught and, they shoot him and there's a whole like situation with that.
that's a great scene. And like that's, I think, my favorite scene with Tommy Lee Jones. And I look at this scene and it's like, this is fantastic. This says everything about the character. It's a really tense scene. There's no music. You just really hear Copeland's girlfriend, whoever she is, screaming while they're trying to get a hand of the situation. And yeah, Gerard shoots Copeland, and his partner is horrified.
Well, because he basically had one of his guys, like he was holding on to one of his guys,
Yeah.
and he could have shot one of the marshals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when he sees him outside and he's like, let me tell you something. I do not bargain. Like, oh, that's great.
Because he's like,
that says so much about this character.
I lost my hearing. And Gerard's like, well, I guess it's better than being dead, He doesn't say that, but-
Whoever Gerard's mentor was probably a pretty tough mamma jamma. Whoever he was, tough. I'm like seriously, if they had a cameo like Clint Eastwood, like, I taught him everything I know. Be like, yep, that checks out. It's like Dirty Harry Callahan.
like him or like Sam Elliott.
Oh yeah, I taught him everything I know.
Yeah.
On the ranch. Yeah, no, seriously, that's the kind of guy this is. Like, before he was a U.S. Marshal, he was probably a ranch hand or,
Who knows?
rodeo king. I don't know.
He was probably in the military.
Yeah, that checks out too.
Yeah. So we see Tommy Lee Jones going through Richard's file again, trying to figure out why he killed his wife. And so I think deep down he kind of does care because he's probably like, what is this guy on the run for?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, I mean, he keeps making weird mistakes. He clearly has been to a hospital. He's been doing stuff that, someone who is on the lam normally would never do. He's not following the MO of the typical.
Yeah, because he goes back to Chicago and they figure it out based on like a phone call that they've wiretapped everything.
Yeah.
And so you made the point that he's just hiding in plain sight.
Yes. Yeah, which is very smart.
Yeah. He even gets a room. Like he rents a room.
Well, this scene never works for me. If anything, the thing that keeps this movie like less than 5 stars for me is this scene because
Is the one
this
when
couple is so sketchy.
No, it's a mom and her son.
Yeah, the mom and her son. And by the way, we need subtitles for this because they're talking to each other.
Well, they're like immigrants.
Do you think he knows about the bodies in the basement? No, he does not know, Mother. Do you think he knows that we're going to eat him? No, he does not know about that either. Do you think he knows that we're going to kill him while he's asleep? No, he does not. Oh, he asked a question. So what do you think of the room? I'll take it. Oh my gosh. These guys are so like such creepy people.
Well, yeah. Well, we do find out like
He's a doctor.
The son is like a pedophile and like gets caught.
Well, that was a moment. I remember like asking my mom because it's like you like to string up little girls, huh? I remember asking mom like, "What does that mean, Mom?" Barry, it's sometimes when you play cat's cradle and you use too much string. Oh, okay, thanks, Mom. I was really worried there for a second. That sounded like something really bad.
She did not say.
It's like, dude, this movie just got really dark for a second.
Yeah, really dark.
It's like all we had to do is like, illegal hubcaps or, he's been whatever.
No, they had to make him like super bad.
Like this is the most disgusting person in the world. And Richard Kimball was like, it seemed like a nice couple to me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Richard goes back to the hospital and heads to the prosthetics department. And I mean, he has a whole thing where he's creating an ID. He pretends to be, a janitor. He's doing research.
It's great. And look, I mean, and I've certainly spent time in a crowded hospital. When it's that chaotic and there's that many people in the hallway, you don't notice who everybody is.
That's
you don't.
true.
It's easy to blend in, especially in this time before. Like we're not at that point in our history where there's just mega surveillance. I mean,
That's true.
Yeah, it makes complete sense to me that it's like, okay, nobody's paying attention to the janitor.
There's no eyeball scanners yet. And like,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Your phone's not getting pinged off of every cell
It's
phone
not
tower.
like it's not Minority Report yet. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I love the scene where he's in the hospital and we meet that other doctor where she's like,
With Julianne Moore.
Yeah.
Wonderful Julianne. I love her in this. This was a big year for her. She was in Shortcuts this same year. And what else was she in? She did a bunch of films in 93 that she really stood out in. But yeah, I think this is the first thing I ever saw her in. Come to think of it, where I'm like, I remembered her. Because she's also in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. And she's in one of the greatest movies ever made, Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. But this was, I think, for a lot of people, like, oh yeah, like she really stood out because she humanized that character. And by the way, what a great doctor. She's totally doing her job, checking up on this patient. It's like, yeah, that weird guy was like looking at this kid's x-rays, took the kid out of my sight. And now the kid ended up like,
in surgery.
Yeah, getting treatment based on...
Saved his life.
Yeah, based on what this weird guy with a bad dye job, apparently...
The janitor.
The janitor. Bob the janitor, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it when, because the kid can't breathe and he's like, he's supposed to take him to observation and he's talking to him and he's looking at the films and
Yeah.
he ends up taking him to surgery and saves his life. But
it's a terrific touch.
It's like,
this guy's humanity is intact. If
he's
you
on
didn't
the
like
run.
him, if you didn't like him before,
Yeah.
you definitely love him now. Yeah, like this is a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his cover does get blown because, she calls security.
Yeah, you kind of hate her at this moment. It's like, doggone it, Julianne Moore.
Yeah. Like, can
ruin
you
it.
just let him just hang out? So
Like, hey, only I'm allowed to save people around here, jerk face. Arrest him.
But so Kimball is he basically has printed out like everybody who has like this particular kind of like mechanical elbow arm.
Yeah, and he figures out that it's a very specific type because he had it and he actually pulled it off the guy.
It's like, how did he remember that? Like, I mean, in his...
Well, you know what? I mean, look, when a bad moment happens to us, of course, we remember every detail about it.
Do we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
know.
No, I've had like car accidents, things in my life that were scary. I remember the tangible details. I do. So, no, I think it makes sense. Again, if it were me, I'd be like, was it the left arm?
Yeah.
Eeny, meeny, miny. Okay, so, yeah, like he finds like 25 candidates. I'd be like, 25,000 in Chicago. All right, so I'll call all these guys.
This is going to take me 10 years.
Are you the one-armed man? No? Okay, cool.
Okay, so I guess Gerard suspects that Kimball is searching for the one-armed man and spots him at Chicago City Hall because he ends up being like, oh no, one of these guys is in jail. And he's like, I gotta go to this jail, talk to him, and just like make sure it's not the killer.
This scene is so heartbreaking when that inmate comes out and clearly he's seen some stuff and had a bad day in the showers and, just a poor guy. He's probably like in his 40th year of being inside. He's like, I got nothing but time, man. What do you want to talk about? Kimball's like, sorry, you're not the guy. No.
He's like, you got me out here. What do you want to talk about?
Do you know any jokes? Anything, man. Please, they're going to kill me back there. Please.
He's like,
sorry, man. I got to go.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Boo.
Boo-hoo.
Don't cry. It's just a joke. I'm going to leave now. That was a joke B told me today.
I taught her that joke.
I know.
Yeah. Full circle.
So, then Gerard like spots him, and it's actually kind of great because they're both on like separate staircases. And then, Richard like takes off, and then he's like, lock the doors. And Richard like makes it out right before the doors close.
This is one of the most exciting scenes in the movie. I mean, I just remember there's certain scenes in certain movies where I don't like to watch them with other people. I like to be alone because I tend to jump up and down like a kid. Look, there's the scene in Hunt for Red October where a movie becomes a gunfight in the sub. There's the scene in Aliens where Ripley takes control of the situation and the guy goes, Ripley! And she takes a tank and starts driving over the aliens. There's certain scenes in movies that I get so excited. And that's this scene where Gerard takes his gun and he's just emptying his gun.
This is like new information. I didn't know this about
It's
you.
so freaking exciting. And Kimball's stumbling over this door, which he doesn't even know is bulletproof.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. Oh my God. I love this scene so much because it's like, man, he came really close to eating it even more than the train.
Yeah. I mean, he like jumped off an aquifer and made it, and now you know,
Right. It's supposed to be gunned down in the lobby. By the way, why do they need bulletproof doors?
I don't know. It's like it's a federal building,
But
I
it's the
guess?
exit.
I don't know.
I don't get that. Anyway, who cares? It's awesome. I
In
love this
case
scene.
like some like crazed person is like, let my husband out of jail. You know, I don't know. But he ends up escaping.
Yes, he does.
In a St. Patrick's Day
Happy
parade.
St. Patrick's Day. Take a hat and blend in.
Like, yes, that is awesome.
Yeah, and Gerard's like, damn it, there's Irish people everywhere.
It's awesome. So,
He's wearing a green coat. It's like he was ready for this moment. It's like, oh yeah, man.
yeah.
I'm with my people now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So later on, Richard breaks into the home of another suspect on the list, Frederick Sykes.
Yeah.
And this is where he discovers a photo that in his mind confirms that Sykes is the killer.
Yeah.
Because he finds the arm in a drawer.
Yeah, I love this.
But he calls.
Oh, this scene.
He calls Gerard
I love
and
this
he
so
basically like tells him everything and then leaves the phone off the hook.
What he says is so awesome because Gerard at this point is sick of these Richard Kimball prank calls, you know. And so he gets handed the phone. He's like, oh, who's this? He's like, remember something you said to me when we were alone in the tunnel together? He's like, go!
Yeah.
Trace it!
Trace
Yeah,
it.
it's awesome. And then, you know, he says, you know...
You said you didn't care?
You said he didn't care, and then he's like, you know, well, yeah, I'm trying to solve a puzzle, and I just found a big piece. And he slams the phone down. He doesn't hang it up. He's like, oh.
Well, he wants them to trace it.
No, it's so badass. I love that moment. It's fantastic.
And then they're like, oh, we have a cop car right out front of this guy's house. So, like, they were right there, and they still couldn't catch him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
He's just like the everyman.
And then we meet the one-armed man, and he's played by, I think he's no longer with us. I should look that up before. I've done that before, where I pronounce actors dead on the show, and they weren't actually dead. I don't think Andreas Katsulas is with us. Let me look it up really quick. I like this actor a lot. He was in Communion. Yeah, he's no longer with us. He was in Communion with Christopher Walken. He's one of the guys that gets abducted by aliens. He's wonderful in this because...
Because he's kind of has a creepy look.
Well, what's great is he walks, you know, he enters the movie and we're actually getting a good look at him now. And other than the hair, it's like, this is clearly the guy. He's very imposing, very tall, lanky, creepy, kind of like Lurch in the Addams Family. And what I love about him is that he's such an a-hole. Mm-hmm. He's such a jerk to these cops. I love it. He has like this real sense of privilege. It's like, you guys can't touch me. Yeah, I love this scene because they don't like him either, and you know, and he's you know, he just has a real flippant way, even talking about why he has an arm. It's like he won't answer their questions. So the character is like, there's a mystery to this character. He doesn't have a backstory. He doesn't have like this motivation. He's a guy for hire, and he manages to, like, despite the fact that he looks the way he does, he lives in privilege and protection.
Well, so he's actually a former cop who now works security for a pharmaceutical company called Devlin McGregor. And we find out that they're releasing this new drug called Provasic. So Kimball had researched and investigated the drug, found out that it caused liver damage, and was like sending the reports about this drug. And his reports were being changed so that this drug could get FDA approval. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, oh man, it's a pharmaceutical, like, every time I watch this movie, that storyline like creeps up on me. I never remember that it's like, oh, there was a drug and it caused liver damage, and then they're trying to like hide it from the FDA. Like that part, I never remember.
I think there's a real missed opportunity here. They needed to take this further. I think we needed a Provasic TV commercial where it's like a couple in bed and she's like, oh, honey. It's like, I'm sorry. Hey, who's that in our bedroom? Hey, hi, I'm Jeff Daniels. You know, erectile dysfunction is one of the killers in America, but thankfully this problem has a solution. That's right. I'm talking about Provasic. Take one little Provasic pill and it's a one-way train to Bonerville. Provasic. Ding.
No, that's not even what the drug is for.
That's what I want it to be for. Because, you know, I don't know, like, I mean, wouldn't that make it even more valuable in the public's eye? Forget about liver damage. Because what's the name of the blue pill?
Oh, I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, what's it called? The blue pill, the erectile dysfunction pill. You know, the guys are like popping like chiclets from a Pez. What's it called?
Yeah, I can't think of it at the
Why
moment.
can't I think of it? I mean, I'm proud that I don't know the name of it, but
It'll come to us.
oh well. Punchline out of reach. Let's continue.
Okay. So so there's another doctor, Dr. Nichols, that
Played by Jerome Krabbe. Yeah,
Yeah.
great actor.
so Richard actually like reaches out to him a couple times. He gives him money. He kind of like helps him. So we don't really know this doctor, but he ends up being a bad guy.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Campbell figures out that Dr. Nichols is a board member of this pharmaceutical company. He covered up the dangerous side effects of Provasic to get it approved and ordered Sykes to kill him in a staged burglary that went wrong, resulting in Helen's death. So that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And what happened, this was another piece that I completely forgot about, was that he's the one who called Richard back to go to surgery.
Right.
Sykes steals Richard's car, uses it to get into the house, which is why there was like no forced entry, blah, 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 which they used as evidence that Richard had killed Helen. So
This is a very well written story.
Yeah.
I gotta say, because it is complicated, but you know, a good murder, so I've heard, is complicated. So this is very well done. Not that I know anything about it. Wink, wink.
So, okay. Nichols also had Sykes kill like another doctor who had discovered the drug's risks. Okay, so Kimball calls Gerard with the new information, and then they're kind of doing like parallel investigations because now I think Gerard is like, all right, I think Richard's onto something. Like,
Yeah.
I got to look into this. So Kimball goes to a hotel conference where Dr. Nichols is presenting Provasic, but on his way there, he's attacked by Sykes on a train. And
Yeah,
this is that.
that's quite the scene.
Yeah.
I like that scene. Because the movie doesn't make it the big end-all be-all fight, and you kind of want it to be, because this is the man who killed his wife. Instead, again, it's just like, it becomes not only physical one-upmanship, but it's also like, you're going to jail.
No,
'Cause-
I think Sykes ends up like getting the death penalty at the end. Because I think that they eventually, we don't see it, but I think they eventually prove that, you know, Richard didn't do it and that Sykes did it with Nichols. And then they end up getting, you know,
Wow.
I think that's what happens. Which is like poetic justice.
Or, you know, there's just like a subway train that's just still out there with him handcuffed to it. It's just like it never stops.
They're like, you are doomed to just like
You're going to be on
ride
the A train
subway.
for the rest of your
Yeah.
life.
He's like that ghost from Ghost.
That's the ghost backstory.
Yeah.
He's the angry subway ghost.
Yeah. He's angry.
Get off my train!
Yeah, exactly. He ends up just like,
Teaches Patrick Swayze how to be a ghost.
yeah. He ends up dying because he's handcuffed to the train, and then he ends up in the movie Ghost.
He even looks a little bit like Vincent Schiavelli. Yeah, that checks out.
There you go.
There you
See,
go. Well done.
everything's connected.
Wow. The movie verse.
The movie verse. Okay, so Kimball handcuffs him to the pole, and then
And smacks his head against it because,
yeah, he goes
Take
back to the
that,
he goes to the
jerk.
hotel, confronts Nichols at the conference
in front of everybody, which I
Yeah.
love. It's great.
Which do you think? I mean, that's something you always say like movies do that would never happen in real life. Do you think he would have done this in real life?
Yeah, yeah. Because when movies do it in real life, I mean, when movies do this scene, it's always like, and I loved you from the first time I saw you, and I didn't tell you that day because well, you were about to get married, and I couldn't. And then like, Ain't No Mountain High Enough starts to play. It's like, oh my God, kill me now. But no, this checks out because the reaction shots of the doctors, they're sitting there going, oh yeah, we get it. Like 2 and 2 go together. We've always liked Kimball. We've never liked this dick up here. We've always liked Kimball. So clearly, like he's making a case. He's basically like he's making his courtroom case that he didn't have. He didn't have his day in court. And his colleagues are like, oh yeah, we've always liked him. This checks out. That's why, I mean, notice that he is constantly going to former colleagues and they're not like, oh, I'm calling the cops. They're like, hey, Richard Kimball, can we help you solve that murder?
Yeah, we'll help you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kate Lynch is like, yeah, I'll give you a
Jane
hug.
Lynch.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Jane Lynch. Yeah, she's like, let me give you a hug. Let me use my microscope,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me use my microscope.
Yeah, like, hey, put your fingerprints all over it. I don't care. I love you, man. Team Kimball.
Okay,
They'll have like little matching shirts.
Okay, so Kimball and Nichols, like, they leave the conference room and they
It's good. They leave very respectfully, and then he takes like a sledgehammer and smacks him in the back.
Well, they end up going on to like the roof, and now we got
they very daintily walk out. Then it's like punch time.
Yeah.
But
Gerard like saves Kimball's life because they're gonna some sniper's gonna take him out, and he's like, "Don't shoot him."
Yeah, although Nichols at one point uses like a pulley, and he like pushes it, and it knocks one of the U.S. Marshals clean out. Do you remember that moment?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's always bothered me because it's like when you hear that coming, it's like tick, 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 tick. Like oh, boom.
Niagara. That's what it is.
Thank you for clarifying. So what I'm trying to say, listeners, is that I think Provasic, it's like a precursor for Viagra. And I think that would have made it even more like, obviously this is like the wonder drug. So clearly we're going to kill anybody who gets in the way of our Viagra.
Who cares if your liver's not working? I mean, it's fine. Okay, so Gerard stops the police helicopter from sniping Kimball. Nichols regains consciousness and tries to escape through a laundry room, but Kimball follows him. And then this is kind of where we find out, like, Gerard, like, yells out to Kimball, like, I know what happened. Like, this, you're right. Like, we figured it out. We know you didn't murder your wife.
Yeah. And it's cool. I love that it's the reaction shot of Harrison Ford where it's like, finally, like, you believe me. Stop. It's like, I can stop running now.
Yeah. So, Kimball, they get rid of Sykes and Nichols. They're arrested. And then Kimball ends up in the car with Gerard, and he takes off his handcuffs. And he's like, I thought you didn't care, And he's like, well, just don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And then, they drive off.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Casablanca ending. It's a very simple, this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Or not. Maybe the car crashes and Kimball's like, I'm out of here. No, wait, I found, you're innocent. I must be a fugitive. He runs off. He goes back to the hospital, steals that man's breakfast again. He just like keeps this. It's like Memento. He has to keep it going.
It's like a Twilight Zone loop.
No, it's like he's addicted to being a fugitive. He's like, I dye my hair in a nasty bathroom.
This character is not addicted to that. This character
he's a thrill seeker.
Oh,
he's an adrenaline junkie.
The line that I hate, like, I love it, but I hate it. It was when, like, he yells, like, he stole everything from me, after he, his wife dies. I think it's more at the beginning, but, like, you really get the sense that, no, this guy doesn't want this. He doesn't want adrenaline. He just wants his wife back.
Well, but we also don't know what he's like. I mean, we only see him at work and we see him at home, and he's got this burly beard. And Ford at the time, like, not only did he have this beard, but Ford appeared on an episode of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and he played Indiana Jones, and he did it with the burly beard. It was wild because it's one of the only times he'd ever played Indiana Jones outside of the movies. And it was bizarre to see him with his fugitive beard playing Indiana Jones with the hat and everything. I think the beard was a smart choice because it is a real stark contrast. I mean, he looks so different without it. What do you think of the Ford beard?
Oh, I mean, I like Harrison Ford with any hairstyle, any facial hair. I think he's great.
Do you like him bald? He did a movie where he's bald. He did a movie with one of the Hemsworth brothers. It was called Paranoia. It's terrible. And he was bald in that movie. Bald with glasses, so he looked like the Monopoly Man.
I don't know. But I even like him on, like, 1923. I like him in, like, he's great in everything.
Yeah, no, I can't. It's hard to think of a bad Harrison Ford performance. He's fantastic in this. I think Jones got most of the acting glory for this, but I mean, I think this is one of Ford's best performances. He humanizes this character. It's devastating. And it's interesting to watch a character who is broken and he's lost so much, but he's also so driven and he's intelligent and he's somebody who's searching for the truth, and he does it in a very analytical way. Yeah, I dig this guy.
I definitely think it's Ford's movie because you and I tried to watch the sequel to this, U.S. Marshals.
Well, leave it to Warner Brothers. They're like, okay, we're going to do a sequel to The Fugitive about the second most interesting character in The Fugitive.
Yeah, exactly. And, we only made it an hour in because it was late and I couldn't stay up. And then
we wanted to finish it the next day, and it's not on HBO Max anymore.
Yeah, it's gone.
So like, oh man, this is like how millennials watch movies. Like, I got to get out my disc. Sure enough, I don't have the DVD of U.S. Marshals, so I got to go find it now.
That's crazy. But I was like,
in-house, outhouse, doghouse.
I was like, this story is almost identical.
It's completely identical.
Yeah, like the way that, like, even like the
way he becomes a fugitive. Yeah, it's not a train crash; it's a plane crash.
Yeah.
There is, I won't say what it is because it's one of the best parts of the movie, but there is the equivalent of the fugitive jumping off the cliff. There's that.
Yeah, like they kind of took all the like famous set pieces and like redid them, but just with Wesley Snipes.
And Wesley Snipes and strangely Robert Downey Jr. And there's a lot of product placements for Starbucks coffee.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll finish it. I want to do an episode.
We will finish it.
It's pretty wild.
But I was like, oh, this just makes me like The Fugitive even more.
I really liked U.S. Marshals the first time I saw it. I really did, and I still think it's pretty compelling. But it's not as good as The Fugitive. Although I remember the first time I saw it, I thought this is as good as The Fugitive. It's not.
It's not.
It's not. I saw it with my mom, and my mother, who's also still trying to shield. I'm like, Mom, what did that thing mean about the string up little girls? Oh, Barry, it's talking about how like when you use strings and ukulele, you use guitar strings. Oh, that's what it meant. Okay, that's good, Mom, because I still thought it meant something really bad.
Okay, so would you change anything about The Fugitive?
I think they should probably have lingered on the fact that he might have murdered his wife, because I do feel like a little longer, because I feel the setup is really strong and horrifying.
Yeah, we kind of find out he's innocent really quick.
Well, once we see that he's grappling with the one-armed man, then it's like, okay, this is what he said. This is what he said. We didn't see it before.
Right.
So I think once that's the case, like, okay, look, I get it. I mean, the movie's already long, and it's a very eventful film. A lot of stuff happens, so I get it. But, I mean, that was one of the things that appealed to me about Presumed Innocent. I like that movie a lot, and it's because you don't know until the very ending if Harrison Ford's character is innocent or not. And for me, it's always interesting when you this is not by Ford's choice, it's just his career has gone incredibly well, but he's one of the most iconic movie stars ever. And when you take someone like that and you put him in a position where he's playing a character who is dark and certainly suspected of murdering his wife, I think that's fascinating. It puts the audience in a really interesting position. It's like how much is our goodwill towards this actor, going to dictate whether we're going to follow him or not. So like I told you, I'm serious about this. If Kimball actually murdered his wife, I think I'd still root for him on some level.
No. You can't. Then you have to root for the Tommy Lee Jones character.
Okay, well, tell you what. Here is my alternate ending, okay? And I'm serious as a heart attack about this, okay? Okay. Serious. It's corny, but I would embrace it. It turns out, end of the film, Tommy Lee Jones says, you're not going to believe that this is the best day of your life. We just got a phone call. Guess who just woke up out of a coma?
Helen?
His wife.
Oh.
I would totally have embraced that. It's cheesy and improbable because she got her brains bashed in. But the fact that Celia Ward, even in just a few minutes, is vivid.
What if they were like, you know what? It was experimental, but we gave her some Provasic and it worked. She's alive.
And just so you know, Dr. Kimmel, she's very amorous. So just be careful, okay?
Yeah, that is like a male fantasy for a movie ending.
She's alive. and she really wants to be alone with you right now. If you know what we mean,
Oh
so just be
my
careful.
gosh.
Here's
We're
a few
hoping
extra.
we're hoping there's no long-term liver damage, but
You're welcome. Here, let me give you some more Provasic pills. You're welcome, Dr. Kimball.
wow, so you would like bring her back.
I mean, it's cheesy, but like I wouldn't.
Okay,
I
but if
wouldn't be
she
opposed
was
to
in
it.
a coma.
'Cause at the end of the
okay,
movie, he's got his freedom and he's got the truth. But what else does he got?
Okay, but if
is he going
she-
to go back to surgery?
No, listen, if she was in a coma, they wouldn't have convicted him to the death penalty. 'Cause
Yeah.
she wouldn't be dead yet. So then you don't have a movie. So how are you bringing her back?
For putting your wife in a coma, we're going to give you
20 years? No, I mean, no. If she was in a coma, then, like, they don't...
firing squad.
No, they just wait. Like, nothing's happening.
There's no waiting in this movie, Jules. This movie
Oh
is
my
like
gosh.
on its feet.
Yeah, your alternate ending, I'm giving it an F for not being plausible at all.
I'm trying to think like the player. How would Griffin Mill change the end of this movie? And that's what he would do.
That's what he would do.
Yeah, this is the player way of changing this ending.
Okay. Well, I don't have any better ideas, so, you know.
Or you just do another movie where Tommy Lee Jones is chasing a different dude.
And you call it U.S. Marshals?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or, better title for that sequel, The Fugitive. Oh, yeah. The Fugitive and The Fugitive.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
No. You just, like, lost major points for that one.
Or it's two guys, so it's fugitives.
Oh.
Yeah.
So then it's a buddy one.
Yeah. Yeah, make it a buddy comedy. So who would be wacky? So it'd be like...
It's a comedy now?
Yeah, so it's Wesley Snipes and he's handcuffed to Rick Moranis. Yeah! I watched that. Oh, I don't think we should jump. Jump. Ah! Fugitives.
Oh my gosh. No.
Jones, Snipes, and Moranis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have any...
You're so disgusted right now.
Do you have any...
So, what star rating would you give this movie?
Oh, I give it 3.5 stars.
That's what I give
and
it too.
maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost a 4-star for me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the director Andy Davis, I like him a lot, even though he has no sense of style at all. He's point and shoot. That's
You're
what
right.
These movies
It's
are.
not stylish.
No, not at all. I mean, when they're running even like through the aqueducts, it's like it's straightforward storytelling. And he tried to recapture this a few times. The movie he did right after The Fugitive, it's an action movie called Chain Reaction. Did you ever see that? It's Keanu Reeves and Morgan Freeman.
I think so.
It's supposed to be. They try to make it The Fugitive with Keanu Reeves. It doesn't quite work, although it's kind of a guilty pleasure for me. And then he did the infamous Arnold Schwarzenegger film Collateral Damage, which is not The Fugitive with Arnold, but that was also the intention of that movie. That's the movie where Arnold walks into a television studio with a baseball bat and he breaks everything. He's like, and this is collateral damage, and this is collateral damage, and this is collateral damage, and that is collateral damage. It's really not good. I revisited it again recently. I'm like, man, this guy once made The Fugitive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, great film. Holds up. It's just again, it's long form storytelling that's whittled down to 2 hours. It doesn't feel it. I suspect there's a lot missing. It doesn't feel like there's anything missing. Tonally, it's perfect. It's like really fleet on its foot storytelling. It's a perfect summer movie. It is. It's a smart film. It's an engrossing film. It's emotionally involving, and and it shows how on the run there's nothing better than making an egg salad sandwich that you steal from a hospital patient.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so do you have any other final thoughts?
I want a third film.
You want a third film?
Yeah.
What is it?
I want Gerard to chase Kimball now when they're in their 80s.
What, they're like walkers and stuff?
Oh, definitely. I wasn't gonna go that far, but yeah, I think it's a great idea.
They're like they chase each other like in a Walmart where they're both in like little like carts, like those automated carts.
So it's like,
Yeah.
I didn't steal that coupon. I don't care.
It's the shortest movie ever.
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, in all seriousness, no. I mean, they probably shouldn't have made a sequel to The Fugitive. That was probably a mistake. I don't know. Like, I feel like people know how to make sequels now because it's like, let's honor the first film. Let's capture the feel of the first movie. The thing about U.S. Marshals is...
Or prequels. I mean...
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
Or remakes. Yeah, and it's the thing about U.S. Marshals, like, I like the movie even though it's not perfect or great. I do enjoy U.S. Marshals, but, like, it's a very different movie. And the fact that they never mention Richard Kimball, because at least with the Die Hard movies, it's like, you're the Nakatomi Building guy. Like, they always mention that in the Die Hard sequels. And, you know, like, if anything defines Sam Gerard, it's the fact that he caught this guy and it turns out he was innocent. They never mention that in U.S. Marshals. Spoiler. And they should. They should.
You're right. All right. Well, I think that covers it. Unless you have anything else.
I don't care. Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Well,
Provasic.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, that concludes our discussion of The Fugitive.
Good night, everyone.